Hello, it is May 13th, 9:27 p.m. and it's hard to believe that I still have some more chores to do before I go to bed. Anyways, today I am going to talk about I'm not going to talk like I usually when I make these videos, I just yap, whatever comes to my mind. But today I'm going to read. I wrote something in my journal which I felt the need to share uh, in today's talk, and I think I want to call this How to Change Yourself, because that's something people ask me a lot about. People ask me a lot about how do I change my self-concepts, how do I change self. When I say self, I mean your imaginal self, your consciousness. Um, so, yeah, here goes. I feel so peaceful today, and I know why. That is, it's because I'm only concerned with changing myself within my mind. I've been around the block, down the road, I've done the dance, but now I just want to be, not try, not push, force, or any of that. I just want peace, love, relief, freedom, presence, gratitude. So I feel those things now, and I let them be a thing of the present, not a thing of the future, not a thing of when I get this, I'll feel. I'm gonna add, not a thing of the past. No, not anymore. Now is all there is. And I want to feel peace now. And I feel it. Oh, how I feel it. How beautiful it feels in my gut, in my body. I can't help but have a smile. And because of this feeling, all my thoughts are still. There is no urgency, no doubt, nowhere else to be, nothing else to do, just now to experience, now to live, now to feel the breeze, now to imagine things, now to imagine the things I'd like to experience. Because all I want is the feeling, and I can feel that now. I don't need anything outside of me to make me feel a certain way. I can do it for myself. Imagination does it for me. If I can cause anxiety attacks, very real sensations in my body, by just fear, then why can't I do that with love? Of course I can. I can do it whenever I want. If I want to go back to fear, I can. The state of fear is there for the taking. But if I want to choose love, I choose relief. I choose freedom. I choose peace. And then, in a way I do not know, very naturally, my external chooses it too. So I want to expand on this a little bit. First I want to expand on the idea of, this idea that yesterday I think I said that I feel anxiety in my solar plexus, right here, my chest. But love, relief, pre love, relief, peace, freedom. Sorry, it's been a long day. Gratitude, presence. I feel all of that in my gut. That is what it feels. That's where I feel it. So let's start by asking yourself where you feel those feelings. Yesterday I asked you to map where you feel your anxiety, your fear. Today I'm asking you to map where you feel love, where you feel presence, where you feel relief, peace, gratitude, all of the good feelings that we talk about. That's one thing I wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to talk about is because of this feeling, all my thoughts are still. This is kind of expanding on what I'm reading in this book that I mentioned yesterday, No One to Change With Self by Edward Art, where he talks about how basically when you're like coming into Neville's work, right? You want to change your beliefs. You're changing your beliefs about yourself, which is your self-concept. Your self-concept is just what you believe about yourself in relation to the world or in relationship to certain areas of your life. So let's say I have a self-concept about myself that I am a great singer. which, that's my self-concept. That's what I believe about myself in relation to music, in relation to singing. So it's not about the singing. It's about how I feel about myself, what I feel to be true about myself. So my belief. But the thing he says in the book is that when we think about changing our beliefs, we put it kind of on a pedestal, We think that it's this very unattainable thing that we need to change. But he said, what if you change the word belief with the word feeling? Instead of changing your belief, can you change the feeling? And yes, you can, It's much easier when you start thinking about it in terms of changing a feeling. So, and he says that thoughts come from these feelings. When you have thoughts, right? Because we always have thoughts. The only reason we get triggered, or the only reason we start feeling anxiety attacks or, just panic or fear, is because it's the feeling behind these thoughts that makes us feel that way. So if you focus on feeling good, on feeling love, on feeling relief, on feeling peace or gratitude or joy, whatever the good feeling here is, your thoughts will automatically change. Just try it. Just try it as an experiment. So that's the second thing I wanted to talk about. And the third thing I wanted to expand on is this. If I can cause anxiety attacks, very real sensations in my body, by just fear, then why can't I do that with love? When we have anxiety attacks or panic attacks, right? The world calls them real. And these very physical sensations that we have in our body are real. And they are. But when we think about good things, we're called delusional. We're called, to be told to be more realistic. Why is that? Why is that? Is it because we don't, I just don't understand, why is it only realistic when it's something negative? Why can't it be realistic when it's something positive? And that's where your mindset shift and this mindset work comes in. The reason we do this is because of our, I could go on a tangent and talk about how it's because of a big, belief in our own society and stuff. But society in itself, collectively, is just a bunch of individuals who come together and form it. So to change a society, not to sound too cliche, but it starts with you. It starts with changing you. And when I say you, I mean your imagination. You start by changing the feeling you have in terms of these things. If you start changing your feelings, which is also your beliefs about things in your life, your world externally will start to change. It is the law. That's why it's the law. It's like gravity. It's the law. It has to happen. So when people ask me, Ananya, how do I change my self-concept? By understanding that it's a room. Think of it if I have to give you an analogy, think of it this way, right? Your imagination is, a mansion, like in the Bible. I'm not Christian, but the best way to say this is, your imagination is a mansion, and in your Father's mansion are many rooms. So these rooms that people talk about are the states of mind, the states of consciousness that you have. You can go to those rooms at any point in time. You are occupying many of those rooms right now. Be that safety, be that wealth, be that health, whatever you want. And you can occupy those rooms as long as you want to. But that's the thing. You can leave that room and go to another room whenever you want. They're all yours for the taking because they all exist in your mind. Because you are not the rooms. You are the person occupying these rooms, which is consciousness, which is imagination, which is God, which is love, which is everything I talk about and have talked about. So, to understand this, you need to stop identifying yourself with these rooms. And to go back to what I said about, you know, if I want to go back to fear, I can. It's right there. Because the reason I say this is because you need to start giving yourself permission and reminding yourself that if you want to go back to fear, you are allowed to. Because sometimes, and I've experienced this personally, I was so stuck in my doubts and in my own fears that it became a place of comfort. It became a place of, I became comfortable with living in fear. I became very comfortable with living there. And this reframe, if you will, of if I want to go back to fear, I can, was a way for me to allow myself to just experience the state of love, to experience the state of relief, to experience the state of peace. Kind of like putting on training wheels when you're riding a bike, When you're just getting off those training wheels, you know that they're right there, but you're just trying it out. And then you slowly get off the training wheels. You're used to them. So in this case, the training wheels would be the state of fear. You're used to it. But now that you're trying to get off the training wheels, you know they're there if you need them, but you're just experiencing it. And the more you do this, the more you'll come to realize that these states are always there. You just don't occupy them anymore. It really is like that. Neville described it as trying on a new pair of shoes for the first time. You got to break them in. They'll feel a little uncomfortable at first. They'll feel a little weird. But once you start wearing them, you'll fall in love with them. Do that. Fall in love with the state that you want to be in. And you don't need confirmation on the external to be that state first. That is the whole point of this law, is for it to be exactly the opposite way. You be that person first, and then the external follows. It's not the other way around. Because that's what we're taught in the world. We're taught that you need to wait for it to come to you first to then experience. No, it's exactly the opposite. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I know this was a little bit more spiritual-ish along those lines, but I've been seeing a lot of you guys comment on my videos, so it's making me feel, well, I saw 2 comments, and I don't know either of those people, so thank you so much. Like, I'm actually getting some views, and people are actually watching my videos, which is so sweet. So I have not advertised these videos. Like, I haven't posted anywhere that I'm like making these videos. So the fact that people are finding me on their own is just like, oh my god, this is great. Anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow, and take care. This go out.